You start driving before dawn. The city hasn't yet woken, and there's a peace that only half-sleeping streets can hold. The coffee beside you is too hot, the lid a little loose, the kind of detail that reminds you you're still slightly chaotic. You told your husband it was a research trip, something about observing. Small-town life for a story you were pretending to write. But really, what you're researching is the feeling of being unaccounted for. It's been years since you were simply a woman alone in a car, not a wife, not a mother, not a role. Just a pulse, a thought, a driver on an open road. There's a strange thrill in knowing no one knows where you are right now. You crack the window and the wind touches your face like someone remembering you. By noon, you've crossed into a landscape that feels unfamiliar rolling hills. Cheap diners, power lines bending like tired dancers. You stop at a gas station and buy a bottle of water you don't need. The cashier doesn't look up. You realize how invisible you can be when you're away from your name. It's almost comforting. At a small roadside cafe, you sit by the window, stirring sugar into your coffee until it's syrupy sweet. The waitress asks if you want anything else, and you shake your head, smiling politely. The moment she leaves, you rest your chin on your hand and think of your husband, his patience, his kindness, and feel an unexpected ache. Not because you miss him, but because he feels so certain of who you are. You wish you could borrow that certainty for just one day. When you get back in the car, you whisper your own name aloud, just to hear it. It sounds different here, lighter. You remember something a friend once said, that a woman alone is either dangerous or invisible. You wonder which one you are now. The road keeps pulling you forward, as if it's aware of the question you're not ready to ask. You drive until the sun dips low, painting the edges of everything gold. Then, on a whim, you pull over at a small motel that looks like it was last renovated in the 80s. A faded sign flickers, vacancy in weak red neon. The clerk at the front desk barely glances up. He hands you a key attached to a plastic tag that smells faintly of cigarettes. Room 7. The door sticks a little, and when you finally push it open, the air inside greets you with a mix of dust and something floral, maybe a leftover air freshener trying too hard. You drop your bag on the bed, sit down, and breathe. The silence is thick enough to notice. The lamp buzzes faintly. You think about texting your husband, but you don't. Instead, you turn off your phone. The absence of the screen feels like the first real thing you've done all day. In the bathroom mirror, you study your reflection. There's a new line near your mouth you hadn't noticed before, a gentle shadow under your eyes. You tilt your head, touch your face lightly, and wonder if you look freer or just tired. It's hard to tell the difference. Later, wrapped in a cheap towel, you stand by the window and watch the parking lot. A man in a dark t-shirt smokes near a vending machine, the cigarette's glow pulsing like a heartbeat. He looks up once, catches your eye, and nods, just a small acknowledgement that you both exist in this quiet, forgettable moment. You don't know yet that you'll talk to him tomorrow, that his name is Doan, that his calm voice will undo you more gently than any storm. For now, he's just a figure in the distance, part of the landscape you came here to escape into. You pull the curtains closed, lie back on the bed, and let your body sink into the thin mattress. The air conditioner rattles, the highway hums, and your thoughts drift in slow, looping circles. You think about your daughter's laugh, your husband's steady breathing, the grocery list on the fridge. Then you think about nothing at all. You fall asleep wearing the same clothes you drove in. There's a small thrill in not brushing your teeth, not performing the small rituals that make you belong to someone. You dream of driving forever, no destination, no return, just motion, soft and endless. And in the dream, you hear a voice your own, maybe, that says softly, "You are still becoming." When you wake, morning light cuts through the curtains like quiet revelation. You stretch, breathe, and smile a little at how strange it feels to be completely alone. The air tastes of coffee and maybe courage. Somewhere outside, a car door shuts, and you realize with a slow, certain flutter, this trip is just beginning. You wake to the sound of a door closing somewhere outside. It's faint, yet clear enough to remind you that you're not the only person breathing in this little pocket of forgotten highway. You lie there for a moment, staring at the ceiling fan as it spins lazily, blades reflecting stripes of pale light from the blinds. The world feels slower here, as if time itself is stretching, yawning, asking you to take your time. You pull on yesterday's clothes, brush your teeth with the motel's tiny toothpaste, and make your way outside. The morning air smells of damp asphalt and something sweet, maybe the honeysuckle. Climbing the fence behind the parking lot, the man from last night, the one with the cigarette, is there again, down. He's leaning against his car, sipping from a paper cup. His expression is calm, but not guarded. When he sees you, he smiles, small and kind, the kind of smile that doesn't rush to mean anything. Morning, he says. You nod, morning. There's a pause, and you realize you were both waiting for something, an excuse to stay in this small exchange just a little longer. Finally, he gestures toward the vending machine. The coffee's terrible. Want to find something that isn't? It feels impulsive, but you say yes, because what else are you doing here? You follow him to a nearby diner with cracked leather booths and a waitress who calls everyone hun. The coffee is slightly better, the eggs too salty, but the conversation quiet and looping is perfect. You tell him you're a writer, though you hesitate before the word, like you're trying it on again after years of disuse. He says he's a mechanic, semi-retired, traveling for no real reason. There's a calm in him that you find disarming, as if he's mastered the art of being where he is without wanting to be elsewhere. He doesn't flirt, not really. He just listens in a way that makes you aware of your own voice, your own mouth forming words that feel newly alive. You tell him about the road trip, about how it's research, and he raises an eyebrow just slightly, the corner of his mouth tugging in a smile. What are you researching? He asks. You pause. Maybe. What happens when nobody's looking? He laughs softly. That's a good thing to research. You find yourself smiling back, a little embarrassed, but also lighter, as if the air between you has softened. He tells you about growing up near water, how he used to dive for lost fishing lures just to see how far he could go without coming up for air. It's such an ordinary story, yet somehow it makes your chest ache. You imagine him younger, the sunlight glinting on the water, lungs burning, eyes open underwater. You wonder if you've forgotten how to do that, how to hold your breath for wonder instead of survival. Waiter, as you walk back toward the motel, he asks if you'd like to go for a drive. Not far, he says, just to see something green. You hesitate, feeling the shadow of responsibility tighten around your ribs, your husband, your daughter, the invisible thread that always tugs you home. But then you think, they think you're writing, and somehow that makes it okay. You drive through back roads where the trees lean close, branches whispering above the car. The silence between you isn't awkward. It's steady, full of small, unspoken recognitions. At one point, he reaches for the radio, finds a local station playing an old love song that neither of you know the words to. Still, you hum along, softly, letting the melody fill the air like sunlight on skin. You stop at a lookout point where the valley opens wide and golden. The wind is gentle, lifting strands of your hair. Don stands beside you, hands in his pockets, eyes on the horizon. It's strange, he says quietly. How small everything feels when you stop moving. You look at him, trying to read the layers behind that sentence. Maybe he means time, maybe regret. Maybe he's talking about something you both feel but can't yet name. When you get back to the motel, the light is beginning to fade. You thank him for the day and he just nods, eyes kind but unreadable. See you around, he says. In your room, you sit on the edge of the bed, shoes still on. And think about how rare it is to meet someone who doesn't demand an explanation for who you are. You realize you've spent years being defined by what you give, love, care, predictability, and almost never by what you keep. That night you can't sleep. You scroll through old photos on your phone, your daughter at the zoo, your husband cooking in the kitchen, the three of you smiling like an advertisement for stability. It's beautiful, but it feels like looking at someone else's life. You close your eyes and see Don's quiet smile, the curve of his hand on the steering wheel. Not desire, exactly. Just recognition. You wonder if he's awake too, in the room next door. You imagine him turning off his bedside lamp, lying still, thinking about how easy it is to miss your own turning points until they've already happened. You whisper into the dark, "You're not supposed to feel this," and immediately feel the lie sitting heavy in your chest. Sometime before dawn, you fall asleep to the hum of the air conditioner and the faint sound of cars passing by, their headlights sweeping like soft waves across the walls. You dream of standing on the edge of that same valley, watching your reflection in the air, uncertain which version of yourself will step forward first. The one who leaves or the one who stays. The morning light seeps through the curtains, soft and hazy, like milk poured into tea. You stretch beneath the thin motel sheets and listen to the small noises around you, the steady hum of the air conditioner, the occasional door closing down the hall, the distant murmur of someone's television. Everything feels suspended, a pause held too long between heartbeats. You shower slowly, letting the water trace down your back until it almost feels like someone else's touch. When you look at yourself in the fogged mirror afterward, you wipe a small circle clean and meet your own eyes. You think you look awake, though you're not sure if that's true or just wishful. Outside, the parking lot is already warming under the sun. Don is there again, sitting on the curb near his car, sipping coffee from a styrofoam cup. He waves when he sees you, a small, easy motion that makes something in your chest settle. "Sleep okay?" he asks. You nod. "More or less." He gestures toward the road. "I was going to drive out to that old bridge a few miles up. They say the view's better from there. Want to come?" You hesitate, just a breath of it, but then you nod. Because you know this trip isn't about answers. It's about giving yourself permission to feel the question. The drive is short. The road curves gently through hills covered in tall grass, the sky wide and almost too blue. When you reach the bridge, the air smells faintly of river and rust. The wood planks creak as you step out. You both lean against the railing, looking down at the slow-moving water. "It's beautiful," you say. Don nods. "It's quiet," he replies. Then, after a pause, "I like quiet." You glance at him. "You don't talk much, do you?" He smiles. "Only when it matters." You laugh softly, shaking your head. There's a comfort in that simplicity. You think about how often you feel silence at home questions, reminders, self-corrections. Here, silence feels like a language you forgot you knew. You walk a little, talking about small things, music, places you've never been, how the weather always seems to wait for you to arrive before deciding what it wants to be. At one point, Don tells you about his ex-wife, how they were too young and too polite to notice they'd grown apart. You nod, understanding more than you want to admit. There's a moment when your hands almost brush. Neither of you move away. The touch is so light it could be an accident, but it isn't. You feel the warmth linger, a quiet electric line between you. You look away first, pretending to study the river. "Do you ever wonder," you ask softly, "what part of your life is the real one? The one you live every day, or the one you think about when you're alone?" He looks at you for a long time before answering. "Maybe they're both real," he says. "We just spend too much time apologizing to one for the other." You let that sit in the air, the way you'd let a pebble sink slowly through water. Back in town, you stop at a small grocery store for something to eat. Inside, it smells like old apples and floor wax. You buy peaches and a bottle of sparkling water. Outside, you sit on the hood of his car, juice dripping down your wrist. Dome laughs when you try to catch it with your sleeve. You laugh too, not because it's funny, but because the sound feels like sunlight. It's late afternoon when you return to the motel. The air has turned thick and heavy, the kind of stillness that comes before rain. You stand outside your door for a long moment, unsure what to say. "Thanks," you finally murmur. "For today," he nods. "Anytime." There's something in the way he says it, steady, unhurried, that makes your pulse stumble. You can tell he means it, even though you both know this is temporary. That night, you lie on the bed again, the ceiling fan slicing the shadows above you. You think about the bridge, the silence, the way his hand felt near yours. You don't feel guilty. You just feel awake. You'd pick up your phone, scroll to his name. He'd given you his number in case you ever get lost. You type a message, "Thank you for the bridge," then delete it, then type it again. Then finally, "I can't sleep. The rain sounds lonely." You hit send before you can stop yourself. A few minutes later, the phone buzzes. His reply, "Come outside." You pull on your sweatshirt, step out into the drizzle. He's there, standing near his car, the rain catching in his hair. You don't say anything at first. The world feels dim and fragile, like it might break if you speak too loudly. He takes a step closer, close enough that you can smell the faint salt of his skin. His voice is quiet. "I don't think this is about me," he says. "I think it's about you remembering you exist." You swallow hard because he's right. You nod, unable to speak. He reaches out, brushes a raindrop from your cheek. The touch is small, careful. Then he steps back, gives you a look that feels like a promise not to cross whatever invisible line you've both drawn. You stand there for a long time after he leaves, the rain soaking through your clothes, cool against your skin. You close your eyes and feel everything, the ache, the aliveness, the strange peace of not needing to define any of it. When you finally go inside, you sit by the window and watch the rain blur the world outside into watercolor. You realize you're not lonely. You're just present. And in that quiet moment, you understand sometimes distance isn't measured in miles, but in the space between wanting and being. You wake to the smell of wet pavement, the kind that lingers after rain, cool and metallic, carrying whispers of last night's air. The room feels softer this morning, the edges of everything blurred slightly by light. You lie still for a while, listening to the sound of your own breath. It feels like the first morning in a long time that doesn't demand anything from you. You make coffee in the tiny machine by the sink, the one that sputters and wheezes like it's been used by 100 restless travelers before you. As it brews, you text down a simple message. "Heading home today." You stare at the screen until the 3 dots appear, then they vanish, then appear again. His reply is "Short drive safe," and write the story. You smile faintly, half at the words, half at what they don't say. You finish packing your bag, folding everything neatly, as if order might help you understand what just happened. You leave the room key on the nightstand. The air smells faintly of the floral air freshener again, only now it feels like a scent from another life. The drive back begins quietly. The highway hums beneath your tires, the same sound that once felt like escape, but now feels like a return. The landscape scrolls by brown hills, silver fences, the occasional hawk circling above the fields. The world seems both enormous and very small. You think of Don standing by his car in the rain, saying that maybe it wasn't about him. He was right, he didn't give you anything new. He just made you remember what had been waiting inside you all along. You think of the bridge, of the quiet way his eyes held yours without needing to claim anything. You whisper his name once into the moving air, not as a call, but as a thank you. As the miles pass, the familiar rhythm of responsibility begins to rise again in your chest. You picture your husband, probably folding laundry or making pancakes with your daughter. You imagine their laughter, the ordinary music of your home. A small ache fills you, not regret, not guilt, just tenderness for the world you built, the one that still waits for you. By late afternoon, the city unfolds ahead, glass and movement and noise. It feels like re-entering gravity. You park in the driveway, take a breath before stepping out, and immediately hear the sound of your daughter's footsteps inside. The door opens before you knock. She runs into your arms, hair wild, voice bright with joy. You crouch down, holding her tightly, feeling the warmth of her little hands against your neck. For a moment, everything else fades. Your husband appears behind her, smiling, that familiar mix of relief and curiosity in his eyes. "How was it?" he asks. You pause. The honest answer is complicated. The safe one is simple. "Good," you say softly. "Quiet," he nods, helping you with your bag. "You look different," he says, half teasing. You laugh lightly. "Maybe I am." That night, after dinner and bedtime stories, you lie in bed beside him. The ceiling looks the same as before, yet you feel something shifting quietly beneath the surface. He reaches for your hand in the dark, and you let him. The gesture feels both familiar and new, like an old song you suddenly hear differently. You think about how strange it is that you can go away, change, return, and still belong. That love, the kind that lasts, isn't about always being the same person, but about being seen as you change. You squeeze his hand gently, and he squeezes back without words. Later, when the house is quiet and everyone's asleep, you step out to the balcony with a cup of tea. The sky is clear, stars faint but present. You unlock your phone and scroll through your messages until you find Don's name. You stare at it for a while, thumb hovering, before typing, "Made it home." Then, after a pause, you add, "You were right about quiet." You don't wait for a reply. You set the phone down and lean against the railing, feeling the night breeze brush against your skin. Somewhere in some other small town, you imagine him doing the same thing, breathing in the silence, thinking of nothing and everything. You close your eyes. The hum of the city fades into the background. You think of the bridge again, the water below, slow and endless. You think about the way the world can hold two truths at once, that you can love your life deeply and still yearn for something unnameable beyond it. Inside, your daughter stirs, mumbling something in her sleep. You smile and go to her room, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her breathing is steady, dream-filled. You whisper, "I'm here," and realize you're saying it to yourself too. Later, when you lie down again, the bed feels softer. The house breathes around you, full of its small familiar noises, the refrigerator hum, the sigh of the floorboards, the rhythm of the night settling back into place. You close your eyes and think, maybe the trip isn't over. Maybe it just moved inside you. The days return to their usual rhythm, but you notice subtle differences. Your daughter hums while brushing her teeth, and you smile at the way her small hands move over the bristles. Your husband reads the newspaper aloud in the mornings, and for the first time in a long while, you actually listen, letting the cadence of his voice settle over you. Nothing dramatic has changed, yet everything feels slightly rearranged, as if the world itself shifted while you were away. You think about Don sometimes, how calm he was, how he never asked for more than you were ready to give. You remember his laugh, quiet, just a gentle ripple over still water. The memory is neither painful nor thrilling. It's a warm acknowledgement of what happens when people intersect briefly and leave a gentle imprint. You still wonder if it was love or comfort or maybe just recognition. One afternoon, you find yourself holding the lavender mug from your cafe stop, tracing the rim with your finger. The smell of coffee reminds you of that morning, of sunlight bouncing off the table, of Doan leaning back slightly, observing the world with the kind of calm curiosity you hadn't allowed yourself in years. You think about how little gestures can hold so much meaning. The way someone tilts their head, the way they stir their drink, The way a look can quietly rearrange the way you see yourself. You type a quick message to Dawn, thinking of the bridge today. Hope you're well. You hesitate, thumb hovering over send. You press it anyway, knowing it's not a conversation you need to prolong. It's a marker, a small acknowledgement that your paths crossed in a way that matters quietly, infinitely. The reply comes hours later. I am thinking of quiet moments. Take care. You read it, and the simplicity makes your chest tighten in a soft, unhurried way. Evenings feel different now. You linger on the balcony, letting the wind lift your hair, letting the streetlights flicker across your skin. You watch your daughter's shadowed silhouette through the window, see your husband moving gently in the kitchen. Everything that seemed ordinary before now carries a slight shimmer, the mundane made luminous by a new perspective, one that comes from recognizing how alive and tender life can be. You still carry the quiet of the motel, the hush of back roads, the gentle pull of a hand almost touching yours. But it's no longer foreign. It lives inside you now like a heartbeat that continues, even when no one else notices. You smile softly, feeling the tension in your shoulders release slowly, as if it had been holding space for everything you were too busy to feel before. You whisper your own name into the night, not as a question, but as a greeting. You can hear the faint hum of the house settling around you. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barks, a car passes, leaves rustle. You inhale the ordinary, and it tastes like a quiet kind of magic. And then slowly, you lie back in your bed. The lavender mug sits on the bedside table, your phone beside it. You feel the gentle rhythm of your breathing, the soft pulse in your chest, the tender weight of presence and possibility. You allow your mind to drift, imagining the bridge, the motel, the quiet valley, and the slow, tender realization that life-love can be expansive even in its smallest moments. Everything is as it should be. You are here. You are awake, and you are gently, softly enough. The night hums around you, and your eyes close easily. You breathe out, a long, deliberate sigh, letting every detail fade into a comforting blur. The world is still, the heart is full, and the ordinary feels luminous, waiting to be noticed tomorrow. Now, let the rhythm slow completely. Feel your body sink into the mattress, the sheets soft against your skin. The room hums gently around you, the distant fan, the muted cars outside, the quiet breathing of those you love. Each sound folds into another, creating a gentle lullaby just for you. You notice your hands resting loosely by your sides, your shoulders relaxed, your chest rising and falling in steady, easy waves. Think of the small joys of today. A cup of coffee, a laugh shared in passing, the warmth of a hand, a glance that meant more than words. Let these simple moments float through your mind like soft clouds, drifting without needing to be held or understood. You are exactly where you were meant to be. You have remembered that life is both delicate and vast, that love can arrive softly and quietly, and that presence itself is enough. You allow yourself to rest in this knowledge, letting your thoughts move slowly, gently, without rushing. Imagine the quiet road, the motel, the bridge over still water. Imagine the hum of a car engine, the rustle of leaves, the soft flicker of a street lamp. These moments linger inside you, carrying a gentle warmth that does not fade with time. You can return to them whenever you wish, and they will be waiting. Breathe in deeply, slowly. Exhale, releasing the tension you didn't realize you were holding. Let your eyelids grow heavy, your mind calm. The world outside may continue, but here, in the soft space between wakefulness and sleep, you are safe. You are enough. You are gently, quietly alive. Let go now. Let the night cradle you, the gentle hums of your life lull you, and the soft weight of awareness settle into peace. Drift into sleep, knowing the ordinary is luminous, the heart is steady, and the day will begin again gently, softly, beautifully,